as Israeli efforts to reach a ceasefire in Lebanon continue. Joining us to discuss the situation and what we can expect in the coming days is former Knesset member and senior fellow at the Atlantic Council, Ksenia Svetlova. Thank you so much for joining us, Ksenia. It's a pleasure to have you on. I'd like to start by asking you about Lebanon and the Prime Minister's recent statement that with or without a ceasefire, the IDF will continue to push back Hezbollah past the Litani. Do you think it's possible to achieve a ceasefire with the IDF even expanding operations in Lebanon?
Well, I can tell you frankly that I hear for the last few weeks information about the upcoming ceasefire, and it seems to me very unlikely. It seems very unlikely because, first of all, despite some of the IDF goals that were achieved, it is very clear that Hezbollah is still an organic part of the Lebanese fabric, that it is not going anywhere, and that it is resilient in its objection to the realization and implementation of the 1701 UN resolution. So until there is a clear understanding that this is the basically assumption that the IDF goes back when Lebanon starts to implement the 1701 with some international supervision, of course, and so on. And the IDF has some opportunity to go back if things go wrong. Unlike the last time, there can be no ceasefire. That's just a logical outcome.
Thus far, Hezbollah has rejected ceasefire efforts, as Israel, you mentioned, would demand freedom to act militarily in southern Lebanon if need be. Why is this so critical? Can you explain a bit more about why it's so important, given what we've seen from UNIFIL and from Lebanon, or what we haven't seen from Lebanon in the past almost 2 decades?
Well, when we are looking at this almost 20 kilometers band between the Israeli border and between the Litani River, it's important to understand that it all became one huge military base. Israel was aware of some of the activities, of much of the activities that were going on there, but even the IDF commanders who had the information about it, they were surprised of the volume, of the scope of what happened during the last 18 years, since the Lebanese war in 2006. When we are when we are discussing the pushing back the Hezbollah beyond the Litani, what does it actually mean? Because we are speaking about villages such as Kafr Kile, Aita Shab, and many, many others, Maruna Ras, of course, Bin Jbeil, that they are comprised. The population is comprised of Hezbollah fighters and their families. So even if the fighters themselves will go back 20 kilometers, who will prevent? How we will prevent? They're going back to their homes. We are talking about their homes. So these are not foreign fighters. These are part of the fabric of the southern Lebanon. Emily, I've been to Lebanon as a journalist twice. And I can tell you that, it was before the 1701 was adopted, but it was very, very clear that at that time, it was 2005, 2006, there was no power in Lebanon that could effectively disarm Hezbollah, because that's what needs to happen. Hezbollah needs to be disarmed. Beyond Litani, around Litani, in all of the Lebanon, because Hezbollah fighters also hide in northern Lebanon. They try to go to Christian villages that actively fight, try to push them back. So basically, we have to talk not only about this very narrow issue of pushing back beyond the Litani. How does Lebanon and how does the world disarm Hezbollah on the Lebanon sovereign territory and returns the sovereignty to the Lebanese state? Is there a state? Can we talk really about something that is somebody that can take responsibility over there? For now, unfortunately, I do not see such element.
We're also hearing rumors that the regime in Iran may be using proxies to carry out a more complex and more aggressive counterattack on Israel, perhaps even in the coming days. Would this be impacted at all by a ceasefire, whether in Lebanon or in Gaza, or we see it as completely unrelated to the Islamic Republic efforts against the state of Israel?
Well, I think that we did hear in the past from various Iranian representatives, it was back in August, that if there will be a deal over Gaza, then they will reconsider perhaps their reaction. But I would suggest to everybody not to build on that too much. because Iranians, by now, they have their own score. They, it's not only about Lebanon. It's not only about Gaza. It's about their projected strength and power over their proxies and in the region in general. So we are speaking not only about, how they will retaliate over Hania or Sinwar or Nasrallah or whoever. Right now, this is the survival, basically, of the Iranian created the fire of ring, which they took proud for a long time around Israel, and their ability to manage successfully their proxies around the Middle East. I think that if there will be a ceasefire, there will, of course, there will be some pressures, perhaps, from the world and so on, to maybe wait or to make this reaction milder. But in any case, I think that, the Iranians are now on this revenge mission. And I think that Israel has to be very smart about it, strong about it, and not to count on any occasions such as possible ceasefire that, I do not see it coming. And if it will be coming, it might be a big mistake.
All right. Well, unfortunately, we are out of time. But thank you, Ksenia Svetlova, for your analysis today.
Thank you.